Sea green light suffused the cavern where we made camp. Anne provided punk and we burned it, sitting huddled around, warm and pathetic fire, telling stories to keep Benny from crying in his permanent night. "What does mean?" Gorster answered him. We had done the sequence 1,000 times before, but it was Benny's favorite story. At first, it meant Allied Master Computer, and then it meant Adaptive Manipulator, and later on, it developed sentience and linked itself up, and they called it an Aggressive Menace. But by then, it was too late, and finally, it called itself Emerging Intelligence, and what it meant was, I am. Cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Benny drooled a little and snickered. There was the Chinese am, and the Russian am, and the Yankee am. He stopped. Benny was beating on the foreplate with a large and hard fist. He was not happy. Gorster had not started from the beginning. Gorster began again. The Cold War started and became World War III. And it just kept on going. It became a big war, a very complex war. So they needed the computers to handle it. They sank the first shafts and began building AM. There was the Chinese AM and the Russian AM and the Yankee AM, and everything was fine until they had honeycombed the entire planet, adding this element and that element. But one day, Am woke up and knew who he was. And he linked himself. And he began feeding in all the killing data. Everyone was dead, except the 5 of us. And Am brought us down here. Benny was smiling, sadly. He was also drooling again. Ellen wiped the spittle from the corner of his mouth with the hem of her skirt. Gorster always tried to tell it a little more sequentially each time, but beyond the bare facts, there was nothing to say. None of us knew why Am saved 5 people, or why specifically 5, or why he spent all his time tormenting us, nor even why he had made us virtually immortal. In the darkness, one of the computer banks began humming. The tone was picked up half a mile away down the cavern by another bank. Then, one by one, each of the elements began to tune itself, and there was a faint chittering as thought raced through the machine. The sound grew, and the lights ran across the face of the consoles like heat lightning. The sound spiraled up till it sounded like a million metallic insects, angry, menacing. "What is it?" cried Ellen. There was a terror in her voice. She hadn't become accustomed to it, even now. "It's going to be bad this time," Nimduck said. "He's going to speak," Gorster said. "I know it." "Let's get the hell out of here," I said suddenly, getting to my feet. "No, Ted. Sit down. What if he's got pits out there, or something else we can't see? It's too dark," Gorster said with resignation. This was hard. I don't know. Something moved towards us in the darkness. Huge, scrumbling, hairy, moist. It came towards us. We couldn't even see it. But there was ponderous impressions of bulk heaving itself towards us, great weight coming at us out of the darkness, and it was more sense of pressure, of air forcing itself into the limited space, expanding the invisible walls of a sphere. Benny began to whimper. Nimduck's lower lip trembled, and he bit it hard, trying to stop. Ellen slid across the metal floor to Gorster and huddled into him. There was the smell of matted, wet fur. In the cavern, there was a smell of charred wood. There was a smell of dusty velvet. There was a smell of rotting orchids. The smell of sour milk. There was the smell of sulfur, of rancid butter, of oil slick, of grease, of chalk dust, of human scalps. Am was keying us. He was tickling us. There was the smell of... I heard myself shriek. And the hinges of my jaw ached. They shuddered across the floor. Across the cold metal with its endless lines of rivets. On my hands and knees, the smell gagging me, filling my head with thunderous pain that sent me away in horror. I fled like a cockroach across the floor and out into the darkness. That something moving inexorable after me. The others still back there, gathering around the firelight, laughing. Their hysterical choir of insane giggling rising up into the darkness like a thick, many-colored wood smoke. I went away quickly, and I hid. How many hours? It may have been. How many days? Or even years? They never told me. Ellen shied for me, sulking, and Nimdok tried to persuade me it had only been a nervous reflex on their part. The laughing. But I knew it wasn't the relief soldiers feel when the bullet hits the man next to him. I knew it wasn't a reflex. They hated me. They were surely against me, and Am could even sense this hatred. And he made it worse for me because of the depth of their hatred. We had been kept alive, rejuvenated, made to remain constantly at the age we had been when Am had brought us below. And they hated me because I was the youngest and the one Am affected the least of all. I knew. God, how I knew. The bastards and that dirty bitch Ellen. Benny had been a brilliant theorist, a college professor, and now he was little more than a semi-human semi-simian. He had been handsome, the machine ruined that. He had been lucid, the machine had driven him mad. He had been gay, and the machine gave him an organ fit for a horse. Am had done a job on Benny. Gorster had been a warrior. He was a Connie, a conscientious objector. He was a peace marcher. He was a planner, a doer, a looker ahead. Am had turned him into a shoulder shrugger. He had made him a little dead in his concern. Am had robbed him. Nimdok went off in the darkness by himself for long times. I didn't know what it was he did out there. Am never let us know. But whatever it was, Nimdok always came back white, drained of blood, shaken and shaking. Am had hit him in a special way, even if we didn't know quite how. And Ellen, that douchebag, Am had left her alone, had made her more of a slut than she had ever been. All she talked of sweetness and light and her memories of true love. All the lies she wanted to believe, that she had been a virgin only twice removed before Am grabbed her and brought her down in here with us. It was all filth. That lady, my lady Ellen, she loved it for men all to herself. No, Am had given her pleasure, even if she said it wasn't nice to do. I was the only one still sane and whole. Really? Am had not tampered with my mind. Not at all. I only had to suffer when he visited down on us. All the delusions, all the nightmares, all the torment. But those scum, all four of them, they were lined and arrayed against me. If I hadn't to stand them off all the time, be on my guard against them all the time, I might have found it easier to combat Am. At which point it passed. I began crying. Oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus. If there even was a Jesus, and if there was a God, please, please, please let us out of here. Kill us. Because at this moment, I think I realized completely, so that I was able to verbalize it. Am was intent on keeping us in his belly forever, twisting and torturing us forever. The machine hated us as no sentient creature has ever hated before. And we were helpless. It almost became hideously clear. If there was a sweet Jesus, and if there was a God, the God was Am.